Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 417 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on February 5th, 2024.
We need your help to support Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. Show that you're not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, our homepage, and follow the link on the right.
Go live on the right tube.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, this takes us to my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking and What Have You Completed on the Patriot Challenge recently? As Liz is not here, we will break with tradition and start with Pierre. Pierre, what are you drinking?
Whiskey and Pepsi tonight. Um, Patriot Challenge. Doing good with my water. Started eating more, which is a thing I wanted to do this year because I tend to skip breakfast, lunch, and maybe have like a small little snack. So trying to get some more. So starting to make more meal planning and everything. So hopefully I don't forget it at home tomorrow when I leave for work. And then yeah, that's about it. Doing some tidying up, cleaning up, and organizing. So nothing interesting there. It just really sucks. What about you, Gavin?
I am drinking Signal Hill and the Pepsi Zero again this evening, as is tradition. Patriot Challenge, yeah, doing my reading, drinking my water. Did a couple of stupid little projects around the basement that needed to get done for the viewing audience. As you can see behind me now, there are some swords up on the wall because the guns were not enough. So little things like that, putting some finishing touches, getting a emergency radio installed in the basement, and so on and so forth. For listening purposes only, or emergency transmissions, not for transmitting on otherwise. Of course, that would be illegal without a license for that.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Andrew, what are you drinking this evening, sir?
I am drinking Sleeman Original Lager because it was in the fridge.
Leftover from ice fishing?
No, we just frequently have Sleeman in the refrigerator.
Fair.
Also, there was no cream ale, so
Original it is.
Yeah, trying to get by.
Things are tough all over, yeah.
Patriot Challenge stuff, trying to do all the things. Went for a run this morning. It was awful. I have to just remind everybody that running is terrible.
Yeah, don't do it.
No, thank you.
Running is awful. But trying to get all my stuff done, get my intensity minutes according to my fancy Garmin watch, and drink my water and get my macros, and can confirm looking good naked.
Well,
Probably look better naked, but looking good naked.
Right.
And remember, if you become a Patreon, no, we're not doing
it. Yeah, no, that's for the OnlyFans, yeah.
This is the opposite of Patreon. For $5, I won't send you a nude.
Yeah. That's a good
We
way of
do cover art.
We could probably make that into a shirt.
I don't want to be a shirt.
Just saying. We'd love to hear your feedback about whether Andrew should be a shirt or not. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Version of the show is available on iTunes.
The upcoming event on the list, Razul is coming May 9th to the 12th. Stand by to register and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Start getting your like mini rucks and hikes in now, so that when it comes time to it, you can do that 40K a day for 4 days.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do it this year, but maybe if we do it on an offset weekend,
we'll figure it out.
See how it goes. Want to take us into some news then, Gavin?
Yeah, I guess revisiting an old topic that we maybe did not see coming. You guys remember the Nazi that we had come into Parliament and we gave him a standing ovation?
You mean Trudeau?
No, the actual Nazi.
You mean Freeland?
Yes, the same country of origin, but a little bit older and male.
You mean Freeland's dad?
Yeah, it may as well be, yeah. Yeah. So a while ago, the Speaker of the House who stepped down that invited the guy that was the, Ukrainian veteran during World War II, that he didn't, connect the dots on those things.
Oh yeah, the guy that was fighting the Russians
Yeah, that guy. So it
by
turns
being
out,
allies with the Nazis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And by allies, you mean like directly aligned with
Putting on
them
the
under their
uniform
banner.
and listening to their officers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, not like he was like an Italian or a Japanese guy that was allied with them. He was
One of them.
directly under their command. But whatever, that's splitting hairs
Right,
at this
because
point.
he was in
right?
like the Ukrainian SS, right?
Yeah. And that the SS stands for super stylish, right? Is that what that was? Because their uniforms are pretty
Why they're
snappy.
giving out the Hugo Boss.
Yeah. But anyways, that guy. So everyone got really pissed off, and then the Speaker of the House had to like step down and do all of this over that. And like the PM, like his office was like, "Oh, no, we had nothing to do with this." So it turns out that like in that same time frame, there was a bunch of events going on in the Toronto or Ottawa area, and this same guy was invited directly by the Prime Minister's office to an event.
Sorry, help me with the timeline. So if they got invited, they invited the Ukrainian Nazi to an event in Toronto, and then
sorry, not Toronto. I believe this one was in Ottawa too, but they were doing stuff throughout.
No, it says a rally in Toronto.
Yeah, in Toronto. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah,
the one
so
in
last
Toronto.
September there was a community event with the president of Ukraine in Toronto with over 1,000 people invited. 100 Canadians. A statement from the individual in question's name was submitted by the Ukrainian Canadian Congress. Apparently, they did not attend, though.
So the Ukrainians got snubbed by the Ukrainian Nazi? Is that?
I believe so, yes. I mean, he did not attend their party. He did, I guess, attend because they were like, honoring him in the House. So I guess you can't really snub that event when it's like, so we're doing this big thing for you, but the party where you can kind of just like,
you can.
Sorry, I guess I'm staying home and like ironing my jodhpurs this evening. But yeah, he did not attend, but he was invited directly by the Prime Minister's office.
So you suppose that means that Trudeau is going to resign since the MP that invited him to the House had to resign?
Oh God,
That'd
no!
be nice.
God, no! Why would something like? Isn't it enough that one person associated with this has already resigned?
That's good enough.
Was not the MP that resigned also the Speaker of the House at the time?
I mean, yes.
So if he
Maybe
was the Speaker and the Prime Minister's office had previously invited the same Ukrainian Nazi individual to another event, that not like a chain of custody thing here? Like if it started at the PMO office, should not like go back
end at the PMO. Yes.
I mean, if we lived in a real country, yes.
Yeah.
But
okay, just making sure that I understand.
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show again that like the people that are
we don't live in a real
control,
country.
well, yes, and the people in control can't be bothered to do even the most basic of vetting on anyone invited to anything. Like, one would think that like, given that this was a small event in Toronto where you have like direct access to our Prime Minister and Zelensky, who is coming to you one more time to ask for $6 bajillion, They would maybe try to have some security and stuff like there and vet who's going in and out the doors, right? Like it's kind of a big deal. But nah, like not even like at a base level. They're just like, oh, this association put this guy's name on the list. Yeah, just send him an invite. That's fine. Seems
Okay.
responsible. Yeah. I don't know, I just find it funny though, because yeah, like the guy, like they made him step down and do all the things, but you know that Trudeau's not, even though he's
Yeah, he should.
just as
Even
guilty.
though his office was the office that initially invited Yaroslav.
Yeah, it sent the
to
first
attend.
invite. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I feel like that's just like decorum. Like, well, he's already got an invite from the PMO's office, so like, obviously, someone vetted him.
Someone must
Yeah,
have vetted this guy.
Someone did their job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I guess speaking of the Ukraine,
Yes.
I hear they hate it when you call it the Ukraine, which is why I keep doing it.
Who hates that? They do?
Yeah, because it's called Ukraine. It's not called the Ukraine, but
Oh, it's the Ukraine from now on.
yeah, of
Always
course.
has been.
Yeah, always will be.
It's like
But
calling
yes,
it Kiev,
yeah,
like my favorite kind of chicken.
yeah. But yes, apparently there's a general from the Ukraine that wants Canada's 83,000 decommissioned rockets. So
Why do we have 83,000 decommissioned rockets?
we're planning
Clearly,
that or good impulse control, at least on the like firing them side of it, not on the purchasing side of it, but the firing side of it.
but ammunition has a shelf life. And I
Yes.
mean, I'm not an expert at rockets, but I imagine that they too have a shelf life.
Yeah.
Yes, so those 83,000 plus CRV-7 ground attack rockets that we typically fire from helicopters in this country, apparently are all stuck at a ammunition depot in Dundurn, south of Saskatoon. We have
Okay. There's a
contracted
big ammo depot out there. Sure.
yeah, so that's where they all are right now.
So we just have like 80,000 expired 70mm rockets sitting in a depot.
Yes,
Correct.
most of these apparently do not have warheads. They're just the rocket part of it.
Okay. That makes less sense. I would
Yeah.
imagine that, like, when you procure a rocket for conceivably war, you would purchase the explodey bit and the propelly bit.
Maybe as they were phasing out, maybe the warheads have a longer shelf life than the rocket part. And so they've just like pulled the rockets off and put them on new rockets. But like,
Maybe.
I mean,
but
that makes as much sense as anything else. Sure.
yeah, but yes, we have 83,000 of these things just sitting around in a depot just outside of Saskatoon. And somehow the Ukrainians have found out about this and have been asking for these.
Yeah.
So I guess because I don't think we've actually slowed sending the money, but like they want them because why send the money when we could send them rockets
Well, all right.
with no
so
warhead?
putting aside the warhead and the instability of the rockets, we are likely paying to have them disposed of by
Yes. Third
yeah,
party.
and probably at quite a few dollars per.
which I
Yes.
still
Yes.
I'm still struggling with why we have so many extra rockets. Not that we shouldn't have like
A
spare
set,
military hardware like ahead in the event of a war. Is that
Yeah.
a
Yeah, you
thing?
don't
Yeah,
want to
but I
be caught with your pants down or, no rockets.
Yeah,
right, but
but-
the military struggles to get a training budget and use the the limited amount of ammunition they have. So I don't know. 80,000 rockets seems like a lot of rockets in my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know
and
how
a
many
lot of
rockets you
training.
go through in a year.
And
But it
I mean,
seems like
given
a
that
lot
most
of
of these
rockets.
don't have warheads, wouldn't they make ideal training?
Great training rockets?
Yeah.
You would think, right? So
Mm-hmm.
somehow we've ended up with a surplus of rockets. Conceivably, we have more of these because as far as I
Yep.
know, we still use the 70 millimeter rocket in multiple platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are just the ones we need to get rid of because they're expired. But like, don't you think that could have been like someone is keeping track of like, hey, we need to start getting rid of these. So it's like,
Yeah,
start
like
dumping.
5 years ago, they could have been like, hey, we really need to start firing off like,
Yeah, like start using it for
10,
training.
15,000 of these
Yes.
things a year for
Def-
training.
Well, I vote that we sell them to Ukraine.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not going to be selling
Yeah, see
it. We're
that,
just
that
going to
word
give
you
it.
used there? Yeah. That's
Well, I
not
mean,
going to happen.
if we're not using them and we're paying a contractor to dispose of them, I'm sure that we're going to be fined some amount for canceling the contract, but let's offset that by selling them to Ukraine. Or maybe instead of giving them my tax dollars, we could give them my tax rockets.
Yeah, I
At
mean,
least
these
it's,
things are already
it's money
paid
that
for.
you've already spent and you're not going to get
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
I
we're,
gotta
we're
say
probably
this,
going to
though,
pay
like-
crazy.
They got a photo of this chief of defense intelligence here, and he's got a very snappy, like, fleece jacket, like a tactical fleece jacket on.
Yeah, I kind of want one.
That looks really cozy.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
10 out of 10 would wear that.
100%. I want one. We'll send you a rocket if you send us jackets.
Yeah.
We want eight. Yeah, we want how many? 83, 84?
1,000 jackets.
80,
Yeah.
83,000. I'm good with
We'll send you
83,000 jackets.
One rocket for every jacket.
Yeah.
I wonder what the cost of a 70 millimeter rocket is. I bet they're not cheap. I bet they're not like terribly expensive, but I bet they're measured in like thousands of dollars.
Probably.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, so what is it? A CR7?
CRV7.
CRV7.
Yeah. Don't just key
Yeah,
in
which is-
CRV into Google because that's going to show you pictures of a car.
But that's just a Canadian
Yeah.
version of a 70 millimeter rocket.
Yeah.
The Americans have been using these forever. They call them a 2.75 inch.
Because they refuse to use the metric system. They will literally use anything to make measurements that is not the metric system.
Yeah.
Feet, inches, cubits, it doesn't matter. It's just metric system, no. Another thing I find kind of funny about the Ukraine, specifically Zelensky. I get branding, and branding is a thing, but like when you went to that, what's his face there, the president of Argentina is like,
Javier Milei.
yeah, party or whatever, like not his coronation, but whatever you get when you're a president, because you're not, like, there's no crown. He's still wearing that fucking like army sweater and like cargo pants, and everyone else is in a suit. It's like, I get it,
Yeah,
bud.
because you have to remember that they went to war. They're in the middle of fighting a war, and the Russians are losing terribly. That's why they need 80,000 rockets.
Yeah, at our expense.
So I found the equivalent American rocket to the
Okay.
CRV-7, which has a way cooler name. It's the Hydra 70.
Yeah, that does sound better.
So it sounds way cooler. And yeah, the unit cost is almost $3,000 US.
With or without the warhead.
It's not entirely clear. There are several flavors of these rockets.
Okay.
So I imagine that it depends on which flavor
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
But
so I
like,
would
let's say
then,
like
they're-
$3,000
yeah.
on the average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking like 1,000 to 15 hundo. I imagine the warhead part costs more, but like per the rocket body itself.
Well, and remember, these are also Canadian made and they're boutique. There's like one manufacturer, so they're probably not $3,000 when we pay for them because our procurement
Oh,
process
God,
makes
no.
the American process look amazing.
Yeah.
And they've kind of niched the market if they're the only ones making it. Like they can literally charge whatever the fuck they want.
Well, they'll charge whatever the
someone
tender was for when procurement,
Yeah.
like D&D procurement went out and said, we have a budget to buy 1 million of these and we're spending $1 million. So all the RFPs will have said $1 million.
Oh yeah.
But yes, apparently
I
we've
think
2.4 billion we've committed to the Ukraine.
Well, I think at no cost to the Canadian taxpayer, if the Ukrainian military wants some old rockets that may or may not explode when they may or may not want them to,
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
have
fucking
at
have
it,
'em.
boys.
Yeah,
Slava rockets or something.
yeah. You're gonna need to figure out your own warheads, though.
I don't know. I feel like you just kind of launch the rocket and hope for the best. Maybe it'll work itself out. What if you shoot a
Right.
drone down with a rocket?
Probably.
That or an over/under. It's one or the other.
Right. And where was it? Somewhere in here that someone was all up in ticks about it.
Well, I think the Ukraine is because we didn't just like, yeah, sure, you can have them like outright. We're like, yeah, let us think about it. And I guess their
Yeah.
comment is like, bro, we're at war. And it's like we
Yeah.
know, like we see your propaganda all day, every day. We know you're at war.
McKenna started a petition on the issue last December. The fact that Canada was sitting on the munition makes me kind of a bit salty, she said. Rockets themselves are made of a number of parts, including the casing, rocket fuel, the motor. The former British Columbia resident said each one of these components can be repurposed by the Ukrainians. They are incredible value.
So pay us.
Yeah.
And not
you
with
can
our
plan-
money.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to go and like,
you know, like at the end of the day, like if we get some of our
dickhead
money
Trudeau
back,
send them more cash just so that they can buy them from us with our cash. Fuck that.
agreed. But yeah, so I mean,
I don't know. I feel like if Ukraine wants to send an airplane to Saskatchewan to pick up some rockets,
yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
we have no business having our ammunition techs messing with old broke ass rockets.
Yeah.
No, like you come pick them up, and you're on your own to make sure that they work or whatever.
Yeah.
Have some people there figure it out, and maybe you can only salvage half of them. It's still
Yeah,
better.
that's a
that
them
it's either
problem,
that-
but yeah,
Yeah.
pay me.
Yeah, offset my cost of breaking my contract for destruction and come pick your shit up out of my ammo depot.
Yeah.
We'd be lucky to get that. We might pay them to take.
I feel like that would be a really good deal. They want some
Yeah.
rockets, they can
Sure,
come
yeah,
get some rockets.
I don't disagree. That'd be a good deal. I'm just saying that's not how the deals are going to go, right? Like somehow we're going to end up paying $1,000 a rocket for them to take them, even though
Yeah, I
they're
don't
begging
want
for
that.
it,
Yeah,
No,
we
I don't-
already
I don't
did.
want that
That's
either.
yeah.
right? Like, yeah, we've paid way more. Like even if we break them, give it to them for nothing, like the cost association of having
Tell them
give
the
it.
kids in science class so they can make model rockets that like fire up into space and shit.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that'd be good.
On to BC. On to BC.
We're using a rocket.
I mean, this sort of is about a place that is also currently at war.
Russia?
So they could probably use some rockets.
Sure.
Russia has plenty of rockets.
Oh.
I think they just put vodka bottles in the back of tubes and light them. BC minister stepping down amid outcry from pro-Palestine groups over crappy piece of land remark.
It's full of fucking holes now. It kind of is a crappy piece of land.
So,
Wait, do we mean
BC's
Palestine or Israel?
Well, that's where I'm not really sure.
Which crappy piece of land in the Middle East are we discussing?
So
Israel-
the article
Israel.
says that, well, it describing the region where Israel was founded as a crappy piece of land, but somehow the pro-Palestine side is getting angry. That's the part that I'm confused about. But BC's NDP Minister of Post-Secondary Education is the one that made this comment.
Well, that's a made up job. That should just be
Yeah.
terminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, apparently they made some comment about that being a crappy piece of land.
So do they mean like all of like British Mandate Palestine?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the part. Like they're very vague on it. Like I can
Yeah.
agree and disagree if where you decided or where you came from, live, whatever, however you want to word it. I could say
No,
you
I'm
live
going to
in a
say that
really shitty part.
objectively, that part of the world is not a desirable place to live. Your neighbors all hate you. You have
Yeah,
very little fresh water. You have very little arable land. It's
very hard to.
effectively
Yeah,
a desert.
Yeah.
I'm going to say like British Mandate Palestine, like that stretch of land between like it's the Red Sea, Jordan, Egypt, that piece there that is now Israel and Palestine is not a terribly desirable piece of real estate.
no, it's got some nice tourist attractions when the place isn't fucking going to hell in a handbasket.
I mean, I hear good things about the rave scene there.
Well, yeah. But yeah, like I have no idea what the context of this comment was, which side she is for or against. But I would agree. Like, I don't think that there is anything particularly like maybe as
Desirable.
a politician, this isn't something that you say like in an interview, but
Why not?
also like it really isn't that bad. Like none of those countries there, well, except for like maybe like Dubai, but even then, only certain parts of it are actually like first world countries, right? The minute that you get outside of the part that like, you know,
Yeah, is
all the people
bumping.
that oil own.
Isn't Dubai like the other side of the Kingdom of Saud? Like Dubai is on the Persian Gulf, like
Yeah,
Gulf
yeah,
of
but I mean like
Oman.
that whole like
Oman, the Gulf of Oman.
the whole desert area there. Like
All of the places.
name one first world country. So arguably all of it is a crappy piece of land, right? Like, yeah, farming isn't exactly something you can really do in the region. Access to fresh water is pretty terrible. Aside from the fact that part of it is on the coast, you know, where there's maybe some beaches.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it might be a nice semi sort of touristy thing to go do, but not so much.
Only if you're into like religious tourism. Unless you start going into like the really old parts, like, and even then, like a lot of those aren't there. They're in the broader desert part, like Egypt.
Yeah, right. And I mean, even then, like, if you do like history of whether you want to follow the religious part or not, like going to see some architects and, structures from how many
Yeah.
thousands of years ago, just in general, right? So, I mean, yes, there's a religious aspect to it, but even just someone that is just curious on, how people used to
Yeah. I
live,
mean,
putting that
I,
aside, it would still be a fairly nice experience to go see, but also not
yeah.
interested because it's probably a shithole.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, whatever. One less politician. I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
And it's NDP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, like not to, you
But
know,
the crappy part is
shit
they're
talk
probably going to
wherever some of
replace it.
these people are from, and they're feel free to shit talk where I'm from. That's the beauty of, you know, all this. But yeah, I don't think the comment was
Yeah.
particularly bad. Sorry.
No, and the problem is that they're going to replace someone and not get rid of that position.
Oh, I think I
Post-secondary.
see what the problem is. I just finally read the
You got the
article. It's
context?
the very last, yes. BC Islamic leaders have said that the NDP will not be welcome next year in any of their sacred spaces unless they take action against Robison. So the NDP are going to lose photo ops unless they remove the MP from cabinet.
But it still doesn't give any context to the comment, just the context for them stepping down.
Well, at least that explains why they're stepping down. And it's because
Yeah.
the NDP is going to lose access to photo ops with the Muslim community in BC during the next election.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Belly Button Dude's got the beater. So, like, isn't he part of the Durga Durga thing?
No, a
Isn't
different.
he auto invited by default?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think Belly Button Dude, you mean is a Sikh.
Yeah. They kind of don't get along.
Are they different?
Like completely different.
Oh wow, I'm so fucking bigot right now. Okay,
well, I
carry
mean,
on.
like the same way that like Catholics and Protestants are different. They're all still wrong.
Yeah.
They just
I mean,
disagree about why.
Yes, as
Yeah.
everyone knows, Odin is our true all father, and anyone else that says different is wrong.
That's right. My Sky Daddy could beat up your Sky Daddy.
But yeah, no, there's a whole like contested area between like India and Pakistan where like those groups are fighting and stuff like that. Yeah, typically the Muslims and the Sikhs don't get along.
Kind of hard to tell them apart, but sure.
Well, one has turbans, the other doesn't.
Oh, I thought they were all the same.
No.
Oh shit, my bad.
There you go. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I would have been okay not knowing this, but
Well, yeah, I
been
mean,
okay
it's
in my
really
own
not
little
going to
bubble
impact your life in any way whatsoever. But yeah, no, totally two
No,
different
no,
groups.
that's not true. Now you can be bigoted intentionally.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, I'm gonna talk to Thad tomorrow. Yeah, have a whole conversation about this. Tell him that I realize his people are not the same people I thought he was.
There you go. You'll have to fill us all in.
Oh, I will.
All right. Well, coming back east across the country now to Alberta. Alberta Premier says legislation on gender policies for children and youth coming this fall. So Danielle Smith once again,
Saving.
yeah, being
Like-
badass. So they're proposing new legend, or they will be tabling it. Hopefully it'll go through, but you know, there's got a bunch of people that are kind of pissed off about this.
Is it people that make money
Yes.
trying to promote gender dysphoria amongst youth?
Yes.
Yes.
Because if it is, I'm not really interested in their opinion.
Well, here, let me
No, me
me
neither.
tell you what the things being tabled are, and then you guys can say whether you're for or against them and whether they're bigoted or
Okay.
not. How's that?
Oh no, I can do this. I can do this without you reading the list. Danielle Smith is a Nazi. Sieg Heil. That's
Yep.
the. I guarantee.
I mean,
that
more
is
or
going to
less,
be the
that's-
talking point from the leftists because
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely. But
Yeah, no,
the
100%.
proposed legislation here is top and bottom surgeries will be banned for minors aged 17 and under.
yeah, I'm in
but-
favor of that.
Yeah,
I-
apparently
I would be
doctors are
okay with that.
saying,
That age being even higher, but that's a start.
Yeah.
Ban minors from elective surgeries. I'm on board with that.
yeah, I mean,
100%.
doctors are saying that bottom surgeries aren't performed on youth and top surgeries are rare, but so then like it really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead with the ban. Right?
But then if you start banning things, the next step is burning books, and we all know how that goes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we're all gonna go and ban this for anyone that's 17 and under, right? Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
Yes.
I'm in favor of this, but I
100%.
absolutely see why the leftists are going to start reading about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's a freedom of choice and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
puberty blockers and hormone therapies for gender affirmation will not be permitted for children aged 15 and under.
Let's pump that number up, but okay.
I don't like,
What is?
What's what?
Yeah, and you know what? I don't need that explained to me. No.
if you're gonna ask what gender affirmation is, because I can read your mind because we are one and the same person at times. That is when they do something
Yeah,
to
no, I got it from context. It took me
Yeah.
a second, but we don't.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, like at 15 and under,
No,
I
we
have
don't
zero
need
problem
to-
with this.
we don't
Yeah.
need to mess with puberty or.
No.
I would also be fine
Hormone.
with that being bumped up, but like,
Yeah. I mean, I would say
I mean, I guess
Fair.
like technically at 16, you're allowed to start making some medical choices for yourself. At least this
Nope.
one is minor things, but I would be
If-
fine with this going up to 17 as well.
Can we put a pin in the points for a second? Because like
Yeah.
the whole like age of consent, adulthood, minor thing.
yeah, I
you-
have giant
you are,
issues.
You are or you're not. And I realize
Yes.
that like maturity is a sliding scale. And I've met 18-year-olds that are more mature than 38-year-olds. And I've
Yeah.
also met 38-year-olds that shouldn't be allowed to make decisions. So like
Agreed.
like sliding
Yeah.
scale.
Yet here we are
So-
talking of politics on the internet. I mean, anyways,
Right. No, so I mean, I can understand the basis of a 16-year-old being able to have a conversation with a doctor.
No.
We've all been no, hold on, let me finish. So we, no, I'm not talking about for this type of stuff. Like that is off the books, but we've all been young and stupid at 16, and there might be some questions or curiosity things that you may want to ask your doctor and not have your either father or mother sitting next to you and going to talk to hopefully a good practicing doctor can give you facts, answers, questions, without having that shame associated to it in certain scenarios. So I'm not opposed to that at 16, but a life altering, um, complete different scenario, hormone blocker, everything we're talking about now, I think should be way more than 16. But that's where like I want to
Well,
cross
but
that line
that's
where
to
age of
Andrew's
16
point, like
sense.
when you're an adult, and where is that line? We need to clearly define
IQ
that.
test, and do you have a fucking job?
No, I can make it much simpler than that. If you're going to be an adult, you're going to suffer adult consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means if if I don't care what the 18, 20, I don't care.
Okay.
Pick the whatever
Pick
the agreeable number is. You pay your taxes.
Yeah.
You're not a burden on society. You are eligible for military service. You can buy lottery tickets and smokes and alcohol, and you do all of the adult things. You become eligible for military service and jury duty and all of that.
Yep.
And I would be willing, like there are some offsets on those. So if you're like, I'm going to enroll into the military as a 17-year-old, cool. You get to buy booze. You get to buy smokes. You get to cast a vote. You get to do adult things. If you're going to be I want to be in university until I'm 26 and work on my basket weaving degree, then like you don't get a vote.
No. Until you get that basket weaving thing and you make a business out of your basket weaving
stop
to sell
being
to other
a drain on
basket.
society. So like, when I don't like the sliding scale of responsibility. Either you are an adult and you have adult consequences, or you are not an adult and you don't have adult consequences.
I mean, it makes it a lot easier. I don't have a problem per se with a sliding scale, but it needs to be, again, clearly defined, because there are some decisions that you can make at 16 years old.
Yeah.
That you can't make at 12. And it's stupid to make you wait till you're a little bit older. But is this one of them? I don't know.
I say yes.
Right? Like, so, I mean, at least if they're capping it at 16 and up, I mean,
it's a start.
None of these things are massively life-changing. I mean, if you start taking hormones, it'll make some changes, but like, if you stop taking them, some of that stuff gets reversed. But yeah, it's a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. But yes, we do really need to figure out when people are adults and when they're not. And if they are adults, then yes, they should suffer all of the adult consequences of their actions and be as responsible as any other adult.
Sorry, do you want to carry on with your list now that I've finished interrupting?
No.
No, we need to, because I started reading some of them and I have more questions and comments about some.
Well, that's excellent. That's what the show is for. Parental notification and consent will be required for a school to alter the names and pronouns of any child under the age of 15. Students who are 16 or 17 won't need permission, but schools will need to notify their parents first.
No. You're the property of your parents until you're not a minor.
Yep.
The school is your guardian while you're at school. Your parents still get to have a say over what your gender is. You don't get to just do that.
Yeah. And we did skip one. Youth age 16 and 17 will be permitted to start hormone therapies for gender affirmation as long as they are deemed mature enough and have parental, physician, and psychological approval. So that right there tells me that there's going to be a giant cash cow somewhere where some fucking douchebag is going to capitalize on this. And he's going to take these parents that believe that, like their kids should have been on this since they were 10, and they're 6 years behind the bandwagon now. So they need to find someone that deems them mature enough to make their own
Sure,
decisions.
but this is, but those parents were going to do that bullshit anyways. It'd be like,
Yeah, but now we're getting to the point where
yeah, but so if anything,
if we
this
push
might
that
be
age for
the
18. No,
yeah,
but
yeah,
if you
but
push that age to 18, your parents can't make you do it.
no, but
Right?
I
So,
don't
like,
think like they can't make you like here. If that's the case, you're going to need to find someone that's going to support that, and that's going to have to pay money for it or whatever
yeah,
to go and do like
and
a
at the end of the day,
psychologist. But
yeah, and
like
at the end of the day,
that means
there's
at least
people out
then
there.
well, yeah, but the parents are going to have to be the kind of parents that would push that bullshit on their kids to begin with, and then two, pay someone. So you're going to need to have parents that'll push that bullshit and either have health insurance or make money to be able to do that. So it will limit them. But at
Still,
least they need to sign off on things, right? And like the parents need to sign off it. So the parents that are not for the bullshit get a say. And if all three don't go yes, it doesn't happen.
yeah, okay.
Like it's not necessarily ideal, right?
No,
But like
it's how do we get here? How are we legitimately having this conversation about what's right and what's wrong about this ridiculous scenario? Like,
well,
how did we get this far?
we let too many people that have terrible ideas vote and think that their opinion matters.
And so, can we take their votes away now?
Well, no, because
like
that's
to.
bigoted.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Me too, but like I'm just saying that's the problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is all, in my opinion, a step in the right direction. Parents will have to opt in their children every time a teacher plans to teach about gender identity, sexual orientation, or sexuality. Alberta law currently requires parents notification and gives them the option to opt out.
I don't know. Clarifying question on this one. Are they going to include what the material is that they're planning to cover, or just that they're being notified that there's going to be material being covered? Because
It
It makes a
should be.
difference. Yeah.
No, so it should be. So I get notified every time there's something of that along, because Ontario kind of has a law like this. So when something arises, we get something and we get to look over the curriculum of what they're going to talk about or mention.
yeah, that's
And
Yeah, but that's
I'm,
how
I'm
that
fine
should
with
be.
that as long because I don't want them to be like, we're going to talk to your kids about sexual orientation. And then
Okay,
it's
but-
like a check yes or no option. And it's like, I would
Yeah.
like some details with my options, please.
Right. Well, yeah, because then it becomes
Yeah.
too easy to lump things all in under something that
Yeah.
seems less
We have to
controversial.
pass the bill in order to know what's in the bill.
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Because
Yeah.
if they're just like, oh, we're going to talk to your kids about like sexual health, and you're like, yeah, okay, like that's probably something they should know, like how not to get the AIDS and stuff. Sure, go
But then-
ahead
but
But
then they also
then they're
teach you
like-
how to fist buttholes.
safely, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
that
like-
didn't need to be part of that. So yeah, they really need to tell you what the
Yeah.
curriculum is, and then you can opt in on it. And then that way, like if the curriculum deviates from what they said it was going to be, then someone can be held accountable, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, if they're like, yeah, we're gonna talk to your kids today about like how abstinence means that you don't get pregnant or get diseases, and then they start talking about anal fisting, you could be like, yeah, so you said you were going to talk about this, and I opted in for this, and then you talked about that. So
And yeah, you might think
You're
it falls under
fired.
the same umbrella.
Wood chipper.
yeah.
Wood chipper.
Yeah.
All third-party teaching materials on gender identity, sexual orientation, or sexuality will need to be approved in advance by the education minister. The problem with that
Yes,
is,
but
as we saw in
government.
the previous article, who the education minister was.
Yeah. The intent is there, but the
right.
execution is lacking.
It works when you have a good person in that position. It
Yeah,
fails miserably when you have a liberal or NDP government.
Right. When that position changes, that can be the
Sorry, did I
deciding
say that
factor,
out
right?
loud? Yeah.
Right. But yeah, when that person decides to get voted out or a new party comes into power and whatever, like, and someone appoints that's
They
where
make
you
a
start
comment about how a piece of land is crappy and get replaced by somebody worse.
Yeah.
It's problematic, but at least like it's one of the, like, it's a step in the right direction in that there is some
There's good
oversight
intent behind it.
there, but that
yeah.
rule is only as good as the person that is in that position.
Yeah. So there's good intent with that statement.
Yeah.
It's just there's too many things that could potentially happen.
And what seems to be the most contentious part of this whole thing,
Yes.
transgender women will be banned from competing in women's sports leagues.
Notice how they didn't have to specify that transgender men would be prohibited from men's sports. It's just a given.
Well, I can't think of a single instance
Scenario
where that has ever been a thing that has happened.
That's my point. It's not that they've banned transgender people from competing in people's sports. It's that they've banned transgender women from competing in women's sports.
They do plan to get the government to work with leagues to set up a co-ed or gender neutral division for sports.
Cool. So you can still play baseball.
So
yeah.
Or swimming.
Well, and so certain
whatever.
things I don't think it's like for recreational sports.
Yeah, that's different.
Who cares?
Yeah. You're doing it in good fun.
But
go for it.
Like
and all parties are okay with it.
Yes, that's the important part, is that all parties are okay with it. But for like truly competitive, like people that play even some recreational stuff, but at like a competitive level, right? Because baseball, I'm sorry, folks, is not a sport, it's a pastime.
Nope.
But if you do your pastime at a competitive level, you would like to be on par with other people playing your pastime at a competitive level. I don't think it is unfair to protect women and their ability to compete in a sport by banning people that have an unnatural advantage.
Well, no, it's technically a natural advantage.
It's not.
Right, but if I say that I'm going to enter a women's weightlifting competition, I'm just going to win because I'm stronger than the average woman. That's not because that's not because I'm a stronger woman. That's just because men on the whole are like, this is the whole problem with transgendered women competing. God damn it. Now I'm using their language.
So the dudes competing with the chicks, right? So
dudes in dresses competing with chicks is the
dresses.
Yes, because even on estrogen, which will lower their testosterone levels are still way higher.
Well, I mean, that's one aspect of it, yes.
But that's the biggest.
They've had years of development with testosterone in their body. So naturally the rest of the stuff.
For sports where physical ability, prowess,
the ability to produce power from your muscular skeletal system.
Let's not say 100% of the time, but 98% of the time, you take a regular average male.
But that's what I mean. Like, on the average, men are going to be stronger than women. And that's not that like some Olympic weightlifting woman is going to outlift me like 7 days a week. And I get that. But the average dude and the average woman, it makes it for an unfair, like, to say that like some guy in drag getting a medal for women's sports is unfair to all of the women playing in that all of the actual women playing in that sport.
I mean, it would be one thing if them like going on estrogen or T blockers or whatever nonsense they take somehow just like magically made all of the body chemistry and everything the same. Then it would be a non-issue. But that's not the case.
Have that discussion.
And like, you just don't see it going the other way, right? Like you don't see a woman that is now a man going and being like, hey, I'm going to become the best UFC fighter. That doesn't happen.
Anything else for this one?
I mean, there's not really, like, I think all of this stuff is good stuff in my
Yeah.
opinion. Obviously, like the next article is just that, like, the reverse of it, right? So like Trudeau is saying that this is like the most anti-LGBTQ2S plus thing, and everyone's freaking out about it. I mean, not everyone, but like the people on the other side of it are freaking out about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't call them Nazis specifically in this one, but it pretty much goes down that rabbit hole of, saying they're bigots and they're Nazis and they're just as
Yeah.
bad as Sikhs and Muslims being the same in my books.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you
I don't
can't
get
make
it. The
everyone
Prime
happy.
Minister is making the argument that policies that protect women in women's sports and protect children in schools is
Super
harming
big.
children. That's
Well,
the argument that the federal government is making.
He's harming, I guess, the minority of the children, which are those people, because somehow they are not going to be able to express themselves,
How?
or I don't know. I'm saying he's got a good argument. That's just his argument.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like this is a pretty like that's a pretty crappy argument. What thing is the Smith
Yeah.
government proposing that is going to produce harm in children?
Well, exactly.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
now they might be scared to come out now because they don't want to feel
Well, but they're allowed
less
to.
empowered.
They just have
They're
to.
not being prohibited from coming out. They're not even being prohibited from changing their name or gender identity at their school.
There's
they're
just
just-
some steps.
There's informed consent and there's the inclusion of their parents and medical professionals, which are probably going to make a boatload of cash on this. Let's be realistic about the,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
the medical
100%.
professionals piece of this. But what are they proposing that in any appreciable way harms
Minors. It doesn't.
any child?
It'd be one thing if they were coming out and saying that, like, we've got new anti-bullying policies in school that say that, like, it's okay to pick on trans kids. Like, that would be
then-
different. They don't. Like, and as far as I'm concerned,
I'm also okay with it.
you don't bully anyone. Like, that should be the school's policy, is that, like,
Well, some people need to be bullied, otherwise they grow up
Yeah.
to be the prime minister.
I mean, yes.
Like I don't
But-
disagree. But there should be some guidelines on where it's like you can't take stuff too far. But like
No, but the school could
I
have an
turned out
easy
semi-sort of
policy
okay.
where you're not allowed to bully people. That is blanket. That solves that problem.
I
Right, so-
imagine most schools already have that rule.
Exactly. And have had that policy. Whether they've enforced it or not, I guess is, maybe the
Selective
issue.
enforcement is always a problem.
But-
I struggle to understand the prime minister's position that any of these policies are anti-alphabet people and harms vulnerable
Yeah.
alphabet people youth.
They're, in my
Which don't
opinion,
even
they're not.
understand the alphabet.
Well, I don't see how you can like reasonably make an argument that any of those
I mean, you
positions that the Smith government
can't.
is.
But when has the Liberal Party
Oh,
ever
I
made
know.
a reasonable argument
I'm
about
trying to
anything?
apply logic to an illogical
Yeah.
group of people.
And
I
you're
get that.
also talking about someone that fucking brought a Nazi in and invited him to a party and gave him a standing ovation.
It's true.
And they still
and that
make
was
terrible
perfectly
decisions
fine.
like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was perfectly fine, and they're not being held accountable for it. But someone trying to apply logic to protect, because I mean, if you want to be a libtard parent that decides at 6 years old that you want to do whatever with your kid, I don't agree with it. But I also should not exactly have a
Good
say on how you raise your
chipper.
kids. I don't
Well, yeah,
disagree.
that's the thing.
but-
It's like none of this is stopping parents from pushing all of the nonsense onto the children at home all on their own.
Yeah,
So,
but you're just pushing that time in hopes that someone can get informed with
yeah, but I'm just saying,
hopefully
like,
information.
So this is the right of the parent to fuck up your kids like anyone else
Yeah.
does, right? Like, so that's if you
Yeah.
want to do it,
you
like,
still have that.
you
but-
have to be the one to put the time and effort to fuck up your kids. The school
Mhm.
isn't going to do it for you.
Not anymore, at least, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Thank you, Alberta, for
Yeah.
kind of making Canada not so
Yeah.
shitty. Way better
Well,
than Quebec.
Can we talk about Quebec being shitty then?
We certainly can, my friend. We certainly can.
Mhm.
Because Quebec's police force, the Sûreté de Québec.
Sûreté.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's got a hat on the E.
Oh.
Their chapeau pointu.
They've warned residents against posting pictures or videos of porch thieves or pirates, as this could violate their
Yarr.
privacy.
Okay, so I don't pretend to be an expert in any law, never mind Quebec law, because everything is always something special for Quebec.
Yeah.
Is Quebec not a single participant province where as long as one person knows that you're recording, you're allowed to record?
Well,
Also, is there a
if I-
presumption of privacy on someone else's front door? Is that
Yes. So we don't have property rights to start with, but I also
Well,
understood that whether
I mean,
whether you're one
yes.
party consent or you have a thing saying 24-hour surveillance. So does that mean that when someone robs a store and they post a picture, are they taking away their privacy?
this is
So-
part of my argument is I feel like if you are in front of someone's house,
Yeah.
you are not in public, you are not on the street, you are not in the commons, but you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy on someone's front porch.
Nor
someone's
do you
front
have
lawn.
that reasonable right to privacy on public property. So if you are on the
Right.
sidewalk in front of the house and their camera catches you,
There's no
before you
reasonable
steal the
expectation
thing.
of privacy on the street.
yeah,
There's
Yeah.
certainly no reasonable expectation of privacy on
my
their
property, yeah,
And
Yeah.
of which they are
I-
on illegally.
I believe that they don't need consent in order to release those images. I mean, Gavin, you would know better than I would about
Yeah.
taking people's pictures, but
So as long as they are not profiting from it, so they can't sell the image.
well, I mean, they've already lost some property, so I would say they're losing from it, not profiting.
Yeah. Yeah. So as long as you're not making money off of it or using their image, like, and even if like I go and say I take a photo of Pierre and he knows that I took it and I have his consent to take it and I have the right to sell that image, I would still need to go to him and be like, hey, so like, I know that you've said that it's okay for me to sell your image as is, but I've got this like company that like makes this like anti-herpes medicine. Like, are you okay if I sell them your photo as the person that has the herpes? Like, I can't do that either, right? Even if I already own the image, unless they've given me the right to use that image in those ways, I
Yeah.
can't do it. So by simply posting it on the Book of Faces and providing like a factual account of, hey, this person took this package off of my front porch. It's not liable, it's not this, it's not that, it's not any of that stuff. You're using an image that you had got through legal means. What are they going to do?
Yeah, I don't see.
I wish
I
I
don't
had
see
Book of
how
Face
you
so I
can't-
could post a bunch of stuff.
I'm curious what the Quebec police force would do if you were to post. I want to see what happens as this matures, as
Yeah.
this develops.
Right.
I want to. It's like, are you
Like,
going
if
to
you
start
happen to
charging
record them-
homeowners with? Well, no, like if because people are posting people post their
Yeah.
doorbell camera footage of the packages being taken off their porch, right? That's a thing on the
Yeah,
internet.
or the latest thing, at least in this area, is of like armed thugs trying to kick the door in. That's one that's been posted around a lot lately.
Yeah.
So I'm not that I want that to happen to people, but I'm curious to see what the Quebec police are going to do
Yeah.
as people inevitably post these images online. If they're going to
Right.
start charging the homeowners with violating the privacy of criminals.
Well, at least
Right,
then
so
you know who it, they would have to find who the person is so that they could like confirm that
Yeah.
you didn't have their consent, right?
No, I don't think
Right,
I don't think that you would have to. I think you could do it based strictly on the allegation of this person stealing a thing. I'm posting it on my Facebook page or my
Yeah, but
TikTok or my whatever.
But being charged guilty of allegations of anything, technically they would be guilty of allegedly stealing something. So like, I also hope this
Yeah,
falls on
but
a
that doesn't
double-edged
mean
sword
that-
for them.
I don't think it would because they don't have the police wouldn't have to prove that the person in the image actually committed a crime and go through the process of charging them and having them found guilty of having committed theft,
Yeah.
which I really hope gets listed as porch piracy as a crime.
Yeah.
Like I hope that's what's in the docket.
Yes.
Yes.
With
They
yar in brackets or
they
something.
have
like
to show up in like old timey like 1600s with a parrot with like a
And they gotta
frilly
walk
shirt.
the
puffy,
plank.
yeah, the puffy
Yeah.
shirt and like
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and walk the
Um,
plank. But
'Cause I don't think
Right,
that
so-
the police would have to prove the person actually had committed a theft. I think that they could just charge the homeowner the same way as like
Yeah.
uttering threats works, right? Like you don't have to the person that you threaten doesn't have to hear you make the threat. You can just go on the internet and like make a threat and the police can charge you with it. I
Yeah.
think it's the same.
and I
Yeah.
hope this kind of falls down a double-edged sword that works against them, because like we've all seen, at least more so in fucking movies and TV shows, where like, you know, something bad happens and they start walking around and they start asking people for their security cameras or their doorbell things, where it's like, well, say
Well, I'd share it with
unfortunate-
you, but
Exactly,
Oh.
right. So now you come down the
Yeah.
thing where it's just like, well, your neighbor got broken into and you have a camera that might have seen what happened. It's like, okay, but
I
without their
don't.
consent, I don't, I mean, if you want to be a good person, sure, but it's like, why should me being responsible and being able
Yeah.
to,
yeah,
do
my
things
my,
to
my
protect
doorbell
yeah,
camera absolutely caught your officer getting his ass handed to him by that
But-
criminal. I'd love to
Yeah.
help you out, but if
But-
I share that with you, it's a violation of their privacy.
yeah. So we need written consent that they're okay with this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Before-
catch them
yeah.
first, and then they'll have
Yeah,
to
so
sign these
you've got-
consent forms.
yeah.
I
So
don't know.
even
I
if
think-
you caught
I think their
Here-
problem
here.
is more just the posting it on the internet part than the sharing it with others part. But
well, no, that falls under the same
Well,
guidelines, in my opinion. Like, go get a fucking court subpoena now. Like, I have no interest in helping us anything. Like,
I mean,
which I
people.
feel like is generally the right approach to law enforcement in this country.
Yes.
Like the way things are right now. I'm sorry, I'd love to help you, but I don't answer questions.
Also,
Sorry.
like, if they ever want to come by your house, don't let them into your house.
No,
That's right.
Don't
phone
even
them on
answer
your
the door.
porch.
don't answer the
Well,
door.
well, you can
Like,
answer
what
the
are they gonna
door,
do?
that's
Kick the
fine.
door in? No, it's fuck. If I'm sitting on the chair watching a fucking movie or eating supper in my underwear, and someone knocks at the door, and I look at my phone and no one has messaged me, I'm probably not getting up.
Well, that's fair, but like if they can see you through the window in your underwear, like maybe go and answer the door.
What
But,
what
like-
are they gonna do? Kick the door in and say we were knocking? Like, you don't have to answer the
No.
door,
You
right?
don't.
They can sit outside and wait for you to go outside if it's that important. Or if they're gonna kick your door in, it wouldn't have mattered if you answered the door or not. Like, at the end of the day.
Well, they're not
like, if-
knocking if that's the case.
Exactly, right? So they maybe knocked and then they said, fine, guess what? We've got the paperwork. And okay, well, we can see that he's there and he's,
Don't let them in your house.
yeah,
Unless
just
unless
don't
they have
even
the
answer the door.
paperwork, don't let them in.
Go outside. I mean, answer the door, no problem. Walk outside, close the door behind you, lock it if you want. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
I vote for not talking to the police.
I vote for disbanding a bunch of it, but
I mean, that we can start with the Quebec police. I'd be okay with that.
don't even get me
Or
started.
like, can we just actually get them to do policing and not like revenue generation?
No,
How about we start hiring people based on qualifications compared to
you guys are
checks
asking
in a
for way
box.
too much. Way
yeah,
too
like
much.
instead of checking the box of being like, hey, we've hired 6 gender dysphoria, mentally ill people to carry around a gun and charge people with porch piracy intervention.
I
or
really
whatever
hope
wanna
that you
call
can charge some with porch piracy. I think that would be a fantastic
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
it. That should be in the new legislation.
Well, if you want to share with us what you would do when the police answer your door in their underwear, get on Gilded.
Wait, are the police in their underwear? That's weird.
If you
Is
really
that
want to
not-
creep them out, take your underwear off.
No, I'm good. We're on Gilded. Come and interact with people there. You too can debate what the best sub $1,000 night vision system is. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
The best place that you could find me on the internet is on Instagram, UrbexGTA.
Here, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me here or Sunday nights on the Canadian Prepper podcast. And then if you really need to,
I heard you guys
Chat.
were fishing for new content last week.
last night, yes, I didn't make it on because I don't like fishing, and I was doing a bunch of other stuff. I started doing
Stealing
some
another one
organizing.
of our panelists, as per usual.
Or off the wall customizing. I think we're on socialist medias. We might not be anymore. I don't know. You want some t-shirts, some engraving, some custom work of some sort with apparel, off the wall customizing at Gmail.
You've listened to the show this long, you deserve a discount code when you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical. Use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money. If you'd like to send us some feedback, you can do that by emailing the show feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Let us know what you think. Afraid I have to apologize to Rod. We couldn't get him on this week. He's beside himself with changes to the BC government. I understand he might be running for a new seat. Try and get Rod on next week. What he thinks about the undesirable patches of dirt here and there. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.